up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the B3 podcast. I'm your host, Brett. I got Chris, the artist formerly known as Heavy C, and Tanner, the head. We have our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at elitenutritionomaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. You can go to the store in Omaha or Lincoln and yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
We also have Rosewood Block to make the best cutting boards and barbecue. They're fully customizable. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off there as well. We also have Omaha Barbell, the real Midwest mecca of strength. Stop by for a great time, pay a low drop-in fee, or just join and have fun every day. I mean, 2 of the 3 are members, so.
Loser.
That's why I'm only here, every once in a while.
Yeah, we can't remember last time he was here.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time.
He won't be able to tell you because he didn't listen to the podcast to tell you which one he was on.
That's true. It's true.
You missed out on the Luke the Weatherman.
I did. Was the last time? The last time I was here when we had the
Luke the Runner.
Yeah, but I've been here since.
He's running the old Boston Marathon this weekend.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I think jogging. I think he's having some hip or leg hip issues. But
yeah, his jogging is our sprinting. So
yeah.
Incline walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about nicotine, the pros, the cons, whatnot. And we're not talking just like smoking, chewing. Probably more of the Zins, whatever, the packets,
I don't
pouches.
think any of us use nicotine.
No.
I used to be a freaking big old smoker.
But not now.
No.
Yeah, because, he just liked phallic-shaped things in his mouth.
Yeah, I was dreaming of you. That's why I had a cigarette, not a cigar.
Hey, man, whatever. It doesn't change it. It doesn't change the gayness.
The gayness.
Did you ever smoke?
I think I've smoked like 3 cigarettes ever.
Yeah.
I've never smoked.
No.
I've never even taken one drag off a cigarette.
Did you ever chew?
Nope.
I tried chewing like 3 times and just barfed my guts out.
No. I used to smoke and chew, so.
Chew, just worm dirt. That's what it reminded me of when you'd buy like night crawlers to go fishing, and it was in that dirt. That's what, when people would chew, that's what that reminded.
Have you ever accidentally drank out of a chew can?
Yeah.
The old spitter. My dad chewed for years, and he just always said, if you're not going to gut it, don't chew.
You want? I can't believe that hasn't messed with him yet. Does he have gut issues?
Nope.
That's crazy.
His gums are fine.
Because everything in his stomach is dead.
Yeah. Just all hardened from the years of.
Just kill all the bacteria. Anything bad in his stomach, he's just freaking the gut that just killed.
Yeah. But now they're saying there could be some good benefits.
Well, nicotine is in vegetables. Like we get nicotine. Like you get nicotine, I think, in potatoes or tomatoes. I think they have it in stuff. But they do show that there is benefits, like a lot of cognitive benefits, neurodegenerational benefits.
Yeah, everything you kind of look at, it talks about, like, they're looking at, like, with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. But then it's also like, well, we don't recommend you just, like, starting and abusing nicotine.
Well, the bad thing about it is still addictive.
Yes.
So it's a very addictive chemical. But, like, there can be benefits to it.
Abusing.
Yeah.
You can abuse anything.
You can abuse water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I was just saying before I was watching some Saved by the Bell yesterday, and they had the episode where Jesse gets addicted to caffeine pills, and they act like she's like on heroin. They're like,
I remember that episode.
They're like, you're taking these pills? You gotta stop.
Yeah, like it was something. It's like a little note.
They're like, this is more than a cup of coffee you're taking.
and now in society we have 300 milligram caffeine energy drinks that people just drink on a daily basis.
And she's like she misses like their dance competition, and she was like, they all come over to see her like it's some traumatic event. And she was like, I'm gonna go see a counselor on Monday.
Because she was like nerdy, right? And she was trying to study.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. I remember.
She's like, I'm gonna go see a counselor and just be better at not, managing my time. I mean, it's the 90s.
You look at photos of her now. That's disappointing.
Well, if she did,
my phone sometimes I watch shorts and it'll do what they look like then, what they look like now, and it showed like all of them, like how old they are now and what they obviously what's his name's dead, but it showed her and she is like not looking well. She's the only one that doesn't look well.
Well,
Justin Diamond probably looks better than she does, and he's not alive.
didn't they? What was that? She did that terrible movie.
Showgirls.
There you go.
I thought you were going to say recently. That's a long time ago.
No, but I'm just saying that's like all she did. And I think that didn't help her career at all.
No, because she was
a
like
stripper.
the nerdy girl, like the nerdy, like conservative, like girl in the Saved by the Bell. And then she comes out and does a movie like that. It's like that's
Yeah.
totally.
And we used to, Amber and I used to watch CSI Miami, and I think she was on there a few times as like a reoccurring character. But
I never watched CSI Miami.
well, yeah, caffeine junkie, Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we going to do?
Also, you can abuse caffeine. Caffeine's got health
Caffeine's
benefits.
addictive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's health
Everybody's
benefits.
addicted to caffeine.
What do they say? Like the poison is in the dose?
Yeah, that's probably everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much nicotine can you use without it being poisonous?
Well, and I think, like anything I was kind of looking at, that's all they ever say. Like, well, it is shown, can help these things, but we don't recommend, like, starting usage because it's addictive. And I'm like, but if I know I got like Parkinson's coming on and I think it'll help, I'll fucking throw
Yeah.
some pouches in.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Tanner.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The other thing I saw is that it says it raises your heart rate and your blood pressure. Well, so does lifting weights and working out.
And so does caffeine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only negative side effect that I saw, other than it's addictive. But
But now if it helps
working out's also addictive
but now I don't know, I guess.
to some people.
I know you've done more research on it too, Tanner. I don't know if it's for it to be like if you have Parkinson's, do you just like constantly have to have like?
No. I think it's they have.
I guess I don't know how long how long the effects of nicotine last. Like its half-life and all that in your body. You know what
I guess
mean?
I
Like
didn't
when
even
you-
look up at the half-life on it.
I think,
Let's see what
it seems like people are always popping more pouches, right? So
There's people that sleep in them or sleep with them.
yeah.
That's craziness.
That's super crazy, but yeah, because I don't know like what. Like I know who was it? Was it her Jillian Michaels or whatever, the chick that used to do the?
Yeah.
I think she says she chews the gum. With
Yep.
like 1 milligram of nicotine in it or whatever.
Yeah. She chews a gum. Huberman will chew gum or throw a pouch in. Every once in a while, Tucker has one in all the time.
And he's like, if I could sleep with this, I would.
Yeah, but he has his own company now. So
The half-life of nicotine in the body is 2 hours. That means that means that after 2 hours, half of the nicotine has been removed from your body.
Yeah.
So basically it's in you for 4 hours. Right? That's what I would get from that. Is that what you guys are getting there?
Yeah. But
I'm sure
usually like on the 2 hour mark, like if you were doing like like a steroid cycle, you don't wait for the half, like you
Well, yeah, you hit it again.
do it at the half-life. Yeah.
Whereas compared like the half-life of caffeine is around 5 to 6 hours.
That's not true.
there's no way.
That's what it says, the average in healthy adults. However, the half-life can range from 2 to 12 hours depending on factors such as age, gender, body weight, liver function, pregnancy, smoking.
I feel like the half-life of caffeine is about an hour and a half workout.
If that. I think also, it says average adults, right? Not people that have a built-up tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. The nicotine thing, it's weird. Like, I don't really know. So, yeah, so even with the party, so like every hour you got to throw a new pouch in?
I don't know that you have. I don't know.
It just says it enhances effects, including improvement of fine motor functions, attention, working memory, and episodic memory.
So I had.
And you get euphoria and relaxation.
So the only negatives that I had found really was that if you smoke or chew, right, if you take it in with other bad things,
Yeah.
and that it's addictive. I didn't find anything like nicotine itself doesn't cause any problems.
No, I don't think
The
it is.
delivery method can, like if you're addicted to smoking,
Yeah.
right? If you're addicted to chewing, but I haven't found anything to where the nicotine was actually the problem.
Well, and it's kind of like people talk about like how energy drinks are a problem. Is it the energy drink or is it the caffeine? You know what I mean? Is it the things in the energy drink?
See, I feel like energy drinks are safer than like caffeine pills because I feel like it takes a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Like how long?
I mean, I know some people that will chug like a rain, like 350 milligrams of caffeine, just chug it.
Yeah.
That's a real hit to the system.
Yeah, rains are a little aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even for me, right? Yeah, you're like, oh, it doesn't faze me.
Unfortunately, when it comes to caffeine, there's the only caffeine that I really feel that I feel like there's a huge effect on me on is caffeine malate. And that's like the long lasting one. And it just keeps me from crashing. Like I love pre-workouts with caffeine malate in them because then I don't crash. Like sometimes like when you like take a pre-workout and it's all just like anhydrous and you go up and then like you feel like you have to drink a Monster on the way out the door to get back because you're crashed. That's the only thing I feel like holds on. But I know caffeine affects my heart rate.
I just like the taste of Monster. If they even put just 5 milligrams of caffeine in there, I wouldn't even care. I would still drink it. It just tastes good.
I thought you could. Didn't they make some where they were saying that they don't put caffeine in them anymore?
Caffeine free Monster.
I could have swore that was a thing for a little bit.
They might.
Well,
Maybe.
yeah.
Hold on.
I think they made a caffeine-free Bang, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think they did that one.
I always thought it was kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a soda then.
Yeah, but I mean, without caffeine, like, what's the point?
It tastes good.
Yeah, but it's just poopy. The rest of it's probably not great for you.
Well, even like caffeine-free, like Diet Coke, like how much caffeine is in a Diet Coke?
Probably 60 milligrams.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the nicotine ones, there's like just more research that's still going. So I don't know what the real answer is. Like, should you take it every day? Just as like, but then do you wait and take it at certain times?
Well, like it can help with focus. Like if you were, here's the funniest thing that I saw about it, and with this whole thing coming up with nicotine, is that once again, I feel like a lot of the research you read in the papers, right? They're from 2010 and 2014, and they're from over 10 years ago. And now it's coming out. Like, I always feel like there's all these keepers of information, and they only give us information, like when they feel like it's safe, like we can handle it. Like, if there's a benefit to nicotine and it's dangerous, like say, well, like smoking's bad for you, nicotine's not. Right? Like, I feel the only reason that they were talking about nicotine now is because they've come out with nicotine pouches.
That's what I was going to say. It seemed like they were waiting to see if people were going to start liking those pouches. And then it seemed like the pouches have kind of taken off a little bit. Now it's probably plateaued out. There's not a bunch of new customers coming to the pouches, right? It's probably people that used to smoke or chew. And now they're like, well, we want to make more money. We want more people to start using it. Well, what we should do is tell people that it's healthy.
Or they're like, oh, nicotine actually has benefits, and they knew this when people were smoking, but there was no other way to get it. The only way to get nicotine was through smoking or through chewing, and those weren't good for you. And now that there is a safer way to get it, now it's okay for us peasants to have the information that nicotine's okay.
Well, then at this point, wouldn't you just switch to a patch?
I think. So the thing about smoking or chewing for me, when it was the motion. It was.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that clip. Dude. That clip's going on the internet.
It's already on the internet, but just that clip.
Yeah.
No, it's like going outside at a bar and having a cigarette with people. Like it's not just. I mean, the cigarette is obviously something. But a lot of people who chew, that's why people will put those coffee pouches or other things that it's not just the nicotine. It's also the habit.
But if you were trying to do it for like other purposes, like your focus and whatever, you know what I mean? Or like with the Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, would you just put a patch on?
Yeah, you could probably, I don't know. I bet you the pouches will get to you way faster.
And yeah, so I'll be interested to see the more research with like Alzheimer's, because how do you know your dosing and how often are you supposed to?
Yeah.
Did they just start doing that research, or is that something that they?
That was a 2014 study, if I remember right.
I feel like I've seen some, maybe is it updated like 2022, but I don't know how much has been like updated to it.
But they also were talking about like smokers.
Oh, it was Monster unleaded.
Oh, they didn't have any caffeine in it?
Yeah, and they make Monster unleaded. That's what it's called. It's
they
the original Monster flavor that's unleaded with no caffeine.
Because they make the Monster, the alcoholic ones. Those don't have caffeine in them either.
Those are pretty good.
Those are pretty tasty.
They're not bad.
What
And
about the Four
they got,
Locos that have caffeine and alcohol?
Ooh.
Well, isn't it because of Four Loko? They don't have
They don't
caffeine
make-
anymore,
I
right?
don't think
Didn't
they
they
make
ban
that
it?
anymore.
I don't know.
I think they can't legally put the two together
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh, like in a can?
Yeah, I think they changed that. Like, there's some kind of law against it.
Yeah, I think the heart murmur law.
Because somebody
Upper
told me
and a
that.
downer. Yeah,
Because
I know.
I had one of those monsters, and somebody said those don't have caffeine, right? And I go, oh, I don't know. And then we looked into it. Yeah, after the Four Loko thing, you can't have caffeine and alcohol together.
Well, I mean, they do at bars all the time.
Well, yeah, you can mix it, but I think it's like is it a federal law? I think you can't.
I don't know. I'm still looking up 6% on those Monster pieces. Let's see what it says about
They're fucking
mixing.
good, dude.
Yeah.
Are you looking
they're
up the mixing?
I'm gonna look it up.
6% alcohol, so it's like a Truly or something, but Monster.
Like a Bud Ice.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're the. I don't know. I think caffeine has its benefits too. I don't know which.
Well, caffeine has its benefits. They've shown caffeine pre-workout it makes you helps with performance,
yeah.
right? Caffeine can help with focus. Like once again, I think the poison's in the dose, and then also I've just been so frustrated just with the how we are given information. I feel like the internet's helped that out. I feel like podcasts have helped that out. Like there's way more out there that we have access to that we didn't have access to before. But it's still, I just feel like there's the keepers of information and that we're only allowed the information that they want us to have.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of the key points on why you can't mix caffeine with alcohol.
It
is a federal law now. It's the FDA has deemed that it's an unsafe food additive to add to alcohol.
And it can't be in. You just can't sell it together, right? And obviously you can mix it, but you can't. Sell it together.
Says mixing alcohol and caffeine. This is a health risk from the CDC. It says mixing alcohol and caffeine can be dangerous, potentially leading to excessive alcohol consumption and increased risk-taking behavior. That part was super funny.
Gotta risk it. Gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Oh man, I was gonna fucking do some dumb shit, but I'm not going to since there's no caffeine in my alcohol.
Yeah.
But if there would have been caffeine in my alcohol, I would totally jump off this building right now.
It's not the alcohol.
Yeah, it's not the caffeine in the alcohol. That's for sure. But yeah, it says individual mixing. You can't buy them like that anymore. I wonder when that became a law.
Probably after the Four Loko ordeal.
Yeah, kids are dying.
People died. Nothing like getting so drunk you can't pass out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to go back to drinking 47 Red Bull vodkas
Yeah, I mean you can still do that. Yeah,
but you mix it on your own. Then it doesn't hold any company liable.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like we're giving some groundbreaking information out there, but I think it's very interesting that all these things they've said have been terrible for so long. But it's more the delivery system.
So are you gonna try it?
Well,
Well, I don't have Parkinson's or.
Well, I mean, you could use everybody could use more focus though.
Yeah.
so it's also like the worst part of
Why
the
don't you start putting nicotine in your pre-workout?
I bet you they probably will.
I was gonna say.
Someone probably will.
When you reformulate yours, why don't you put it in there?
I'm not going to do that.
Why? Be a leader, okay?
Groundbreaking.
Yeah.
No. I'm not even sure how you'd get it. I don't know how you'd get it delivered.
We could probably buy it right now.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
There's probably some Colombian drug lord or something you can buy it from.
Probably.
See? I guess I didn't even know where I didn't look where nicotine's derived from. I mean, obviously it's in a tobacco plant. They don't add it to it.
No, I'm
how
sure
do
they
how do
just
they
pull it out of it.
Yeah.
Pure powder nicotine. Powder nicotine is potent, affordable, and high quality, multi-purpose. So you can buy it.
See, you can be a
Dude,
leader.
people are just
bro.
going to be fucking dry scooping nicotine. You're going to buy dry scoop nicotine.
No, you should put
Right
it in
on top of your
pre-workout.
freaking creatine and NAC.
I don't know why you're so anti that. I only dry scooped at home. I mixed it this morning. Well, just the creatine, not the NAC. I only do that. How many times do you take your NAC?
I just do 2 scoops a day.
Oh, I just do one.
I dry scooped it yesterday.
NAC?
Yeah. I take it.
Has a very interesting taste.
It kind of smells bad too when you first open it. When you smell it, it kind of has that.
Do you dry scoop it with your creatine?
I
Together?
take one of those, and then I take a little bit of water, and then some creatine.
If you do that, the scoop of creatine, which is probably 100 times bigger than the scoop of NAC, and you can taste the NAC over the creatine.
Oh, it's definitely salty. Yeah,
It's got
It's like salty metal.
yeah.
salty metal lemons or something.
Oh yeah, it has got like a little hint of like some
Citrus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A little
Something to it.
Little hint of citrus. Yeah.
That's why, like, with a lot of ingredients, they do have a citrus type thing, and so that's why a lot of your flavors are citrusy because it can cover it. But if you throw NAC in a protein shake, you just ruined your protein shake. Like, it is potent. The taste will travel.
Yeah, if you put it in, if you do use elements or take elements, if you put it in some water with some element, you probably wouldn't even really notice it that much.
That's what I do in the mornings. Like here, I put my creatine with my element. Because here's the thing: is dry scooping it, you might as well because all that shit settles to the bottom. If you're putting it in just a glass, you have to stir it constantly. You have to put it in some kind of bottle to shake it. Yeah, because all that
Shake it up
creatine.
and drink it.
That's what I'm saying. Or you can just dry scoop it and fucking get it all done at one time.
That's why I dry scoop it.
Yep,
Dry scoop away.
I do.
I had someone try and dry scoop a Red Wave once. That's a 30-gram scoop. That didn't go well for them.
Well, live and learn.
You been taking more creatine, or are you just taking the 5 still?
I do 10. I take
I
one
just
in
been
the
taking
morning
a
and one at
heaping
night.
scoop. That's what I haven't really been measuring.
I take 15 to 20.
Got more head weight to carry.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, once again, it's creatine. It's a bunch of studies have come out on creatine, right? But then at first they didn't know if creatine was bad for you because they gave a mouse 90 servings a day and his fucking kidneys failed. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like I always say here, you got to plan for stupid people because the smart ones don't let you down. So every one of those companies has to plan for the dumbest person possible.
Yeah, that's why shampoo has a fucking label on it that says "Do not eat." Because people are
did you see that clip?
no.
Was that the old Bill Engvall, the Preparation H? I ate that whole dang tube and I still got hemorrhoids. So that's why they had "Do not eat."
No, it was Kennedy from Louisiana.
Oh,
was talking about AOC and said that his firm belief is that she's the reason they have directions on shampoo bottles.
Oh yeah,
I did not see that. That's funny though.
I did hear that one, but I don't know. There's a lot of stupid people out there
Yeah.
that ruin it for everybody else. But I think it's just come down to there's not that many like awful things out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just the dosing is probably the worst thing.
Well, who would ever? Well, you can't.
But
say
I do
that.
want to, yeah.
Who would ever take that much creatine? But you know,
It's the same people that take 5 scoops of Red Wave to see if they can do. Like I did 4 yesterday, but I could do 5 today. It's the same why people. It's the same reason people die
explode.
of like heroin overdoses because they fucking get sober, and then they decide they get back on and go back to exactly what they were doing, the same amount, and they just fucking die.
Yeah. I mean, it's the reason that steroids are illegal in the United States. Because if you go into like Central South America, you can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them. And they don't have abuses. I mean, I'm sure they have some abuses, but not like wide-ranging abuses. The problem is if one's good, 2's better, 4's got to be the shit, so I'm going to do 8.
And the thing with like steroid abuse, like whether they're legal or illegal, the same people are going to abuse them. It doesn't really matter.
It's just one of those things to where, like alcohol, like the binge drinking alcoholism isn't as bad in Europe as it is here. And they just don't have as many strict laws, and kids drink wine, and you know what I mean? Like you can drink growing up. It's like, it's just not a thing here. We have a binge drinking problem because you can't drink, 21, fucking go to the bars. You know what I mean? Like
That's not how it was for me because I drank all through high school. So then when I got turned 21, I was like, whatever.
but I was also binge drinking in high school. So
Another day, just another
But
day.
then we all knew people that were clean cut all through high school, and they go to college and they fail out because they fucking start partying and don't know how to like treat their life. You know what I mean?
Well, technically in Nebraska, your kids can drink if they're at home.
yeah,
If they're 16 and over and they're having parental consent
For
as
religious
long as they stay
purposes.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people know that rule or law, but they're still your kids and you can raise them how you want, right?
But basically, stupid
have you
people
not
ruin
been around? That is not a thing anymore.
It's not a thing anymore.
Stupid people ruin it for everybody. Is basically what this goes for.
I think, when it comes to binging alcohol, I think it's not a bad idea to introduce a child who's going to be going to college to it, to like, hey, here, try this out, so that way you're not trying it for the first time with a bunch of idiots, and they're like, here, drink this, drink that, drink this, and next thing you know, you're peeling yourself off the floor somewhere. And
You mean if they want to try it, or if they have
don't like force them to try it, but you're like, hey, do you want to you want to try something, some alcohol to see if you just
like
so
let them
you
have
know.
like a little party at your house or whatever, and like
Yeah, I mean, not like a party, but like a, like, because most kids are going to try it and they're gonna be like, this is disgusting. Perfect. Then you don't never need to worry about it again, right? You would hope.
It's to me, it's just the taboo-ness of it.
Well, I think a lot of kids do it because that's wrong. They know it's like they're rebelling, and they're like, oh, I want to drink some alcohol, and because I'm not supposed to. But if you make it to where you can be like, well, you can have a drink at home, and then they find out they don't like it, then you don't have to worry about later on them doing it secretive and like being an alcoholic when they go to college. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There might be some truth in that, and then maybe there's not. It just depends, I guess, on the child and the situation of the home.
yeah.
Are there any other? Is there anything else that's like have been told that's been like just bad for us?
Toilet paper.
Yeah, you're supposed to use a bidet now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think the research into like medicinal marijuana is, I think, what's opened the door to a lot of that now.
Oh, mushrooms, like psilocybin helps out a ton.
Have you done mushrooms?
I have.
Like recently?
No.
Why not?
Part of so here's the thing, like if marijuana was legal and I could go buy it at a store, I would probably do it every once in a while, but I'm not going to go buy it for some idiot. If mushrooms were legal and I could go buy them at a store, I would probably do it once in a while. Like, but I'm not going to go buy them from some idiot. Like I want to know. There's too much dumb shit out there. But what they've done with psilocybin is that, so why it works, like if you have like a traumatic traumatic injury, right, or a traumatic memory, and that gets stored in like your short-term memory, right? So you come back from war or whatever, you have a really bad experience or whatever, it gets stored in your short-term memory and it can't move. So that's why people get stuck. Because they're always thinking about it. For us, you have something really bad happen in your life, which we all have. It just moves to a long-term memory, and you just don't think about it all the time. Well, psilocybin and any kind of hallucinogen basically creates neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is basically the new formation of like brain waves. So you can actually treat. What syndrome am I looking for?
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD. You can actually treat PTSD by using mushrooms to move that memory. That's why it works. And they know it works. A lot of really conservative, I think the owner of the family of Breitbart gave the Psychedelic Institute or whatever, like someplace in Denver, like $1 million or even more than that, just for soldiers when they're coming back, because they know that it can move that memory outside of it. There's a ton of things that work.
Well, that's another thing too, is like how many doses. Like I think a lot of these things go into the dosing, like you were talking about, like how much do you have to give them? Is it a one-time use and they're better? It's kind of like the nicotine. Is it like? So obviously they're gonna more and more research will come out with these things.
Well, the problem is since we've made all these things illegal, or they've all been deemed bad, then there's not research on them.
Well,
right? The research becomes really hard to do when mushrooms are illegal.
Well, like nicotine's not illegal, and it's
but it's
still,
always been bad for you.
Yeah, and I'm saying, but yeah, so there's still the research is slow on it.
But mushrooms, LSD, ayahuasca, ibogaine. I know you guys have heard about ibogaine.
I have not even the slightest clue.
Oh, ibogaine's like apparently like a terrible, like you're on like the worst trip of your life, and it's just miserable, like 24 hours or more. But like people go down to Mexico and they do it when they have huge painkiller addictions or any kind of addiction, and they are unaddicted when they're done. Like they do it, like it basically resets them, and like they could use it for all kinds of stuff. I mean, apparently it's it's a rough 24 hours.
Is that where you're like in the sweat lodges doing it?
That's more like ayahuasca. But ibogaine can treat addiction. But all these things are illegal here, right? So then you end up with third world countries where they're not illegal, and then people trying to do research in a third world country to figure out the effectiveness when we have the best technology and the best people here, but we restrict them because of our stupid ass.
And then they find some cure for something, and they find out that's awesome, and their plane crashes
Right.
on the way back. Weird. I don't know why. I don't know how that happened. Going back to conspiracy theories now.
Well, yeah.
Or ivermectin.
Yeah,
Look at ivermectin and how demonized it was, and then also look at current cancer treatments, and ivermectin is part of current cancer treatments.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a bunch of research on states where they've legalized marijuana and how they feel like it's raised the mental health crisis in the country because it's turned people into zombies pretty much, and all they do is sit at home and smoke weed and basically think about how horrible their life is, and then they end up having mental health issues.
So I heard this the other day. There are 3 kinds of lies. There's like a bold-faced lie, there's a white lie, and then there's statistics. Because any statistic that you say about anything, I can go find one that says something else. And it just depends on which side of the argument you're on. Because for everyone who's against marijuana, they have all these statistics about all these things and all this crime in Colorado and blah, 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 blah. And then on the other side, you have the same type of statistics that show all this positive. Like, I don't even, like, when it comes to stats, it is really hard to even believe. Like, you have to see where it's coming from. Do you know the number one organization that funds all the stuff of anti-marijuana? Alcohol companies, because they lose money.
Well,
So they fund a ton of studies against marijuana because every time marijuana is introduced, alcohol sales go down.
here's what I'll say about marijuana. I honestly didn't care. Like, they're like, oh, I want to make it legal. Okay, great, make it legal. But what I think has happened now is that you can't go anywhere in states where it's legal, right? You can't go anywhere, do any outdoor activity without smelling weed. And I don't think that's what everybody was envisioning when they thought of making weed legal. I think they envisioned people like, it's
Well,
like
to me, it should fall
casually doing it, like Friday night, you go, you buy some weed, whatever, you go home, have a weekend, do it, whatever. Not sit around outside, downtown, amusement parks, whatever, and just blaze up. Everybody's just around you blazing up, and your kids are like, what's that smell?
So have to make like no smoking area. Like, there's a lot of places like you can't smoke in like outside of a bar. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Where have you?
well, like,
where have you
have you been
experienced
to Vegas? Have you been to Vegas recently?
Oh no, I'll be
Dude,
going.
dude, as soon as they legalized, Amber
was
and I were
horrible.
there
Yeah.
on the New Year's. They legalized it, and as soon as it got legalized, the whole fucking place just smelled like pot.
Been there before it was legal, and after, completely different experience.
Yeah, Vegas would probably be the extreme.
Well, yes, and there's been other states where,
Like I've been in Missouri. I've been in Missouri and
Colorado.
haven't noticed it. I've been in Colorado and it just like.
I noticed it in Missouri,
But
when we
I've
were in
also noticed it
Kansas
walking
City.
downtown Omaha.
That's true. It's not legal here.
Yeah,
So.
like I've been downtown and like, oh, where's that? Or actually, if you come out to my store, sometimes I think the freaking smoke shop next door freaking decides that they're going to do something that's not.
Well, the thing about it is, it's pretty impossible to enforce.
Yeah.
How it's
Well,
not.
they can basically sell marijuana here, can't they? Like
It's there's so many different strains of it now. I mean, who knows what? I think there's Delta 8. There's all these Delta, whatever it is. Who knows anymore?
it's like Revenge of the Nerds. The Tri-Lams.
Yeah, nobody has. I have no idea what. Yeah, it might as well be legal because there's so many different strains of stuff they're selling. You can't keep up. So because what they would do is the state they'd come out with something, right? Like, and the state would say, oh, well, they'd get those ingredients and they'd say that's illegal now. Well, then they just change one ingredient in it, and now it's
Well,
illegal
they do the same
substance
thing as
again.
supplements.
Yeah,
You know what I
So-
mean? Like they do the same thing with all kinds of stuff. All they do is move a molecule.
and so it's almost impossible to always regulate that stuff.
I think the problem that we have is that we have like these people saying marijuana is bad, right? And then you see this guy with Parkinson's who's shaking, who can't control it, and freaking takes a hit, and then 5-10 minutes later, he is not shaking anymore, and he's talking. And then they say, well, there's no medical purpose for it. That was right. It was a class 1, or is it class 1 or class A or whatever drug federally that had said no medical purpose. Cocaine was class 2. Like, so that's the thing. So that's my issue with everything, is that we just don't have all the information, and we have these people who think they're going to keep us like safe or that we can't handle the information. Like it's okay to say that marijuana, hey, there's a chance that your 19-year-old's going to be a freaking pothead playing video games and not do anything. It's going to take his drive away, right? So like watch this. But also if you have Parkinson's, you might be able to relax and you might be able to have a fucking conversation if you just take a couple hits off this joint. Like it's okay to say both things, but one side only says this and one side only says this.
Well, isn't that the idea of the medicinal versus everything else? The full legal, the medicinal would be for the Parkinson's guy, and then it would restrict everybody.
Yeah, but
else.
all medicinal turns into is just go get a card from your. Just say I'm anxious and go get a card from your doctor. Medicinal's stupid. Like they in California, I was there when it was medicinal, and I was on Venice Beach, and it said there was a big freaking marijuana plant. Like sign, and it said the doctor's in, come get your card. And you just walk in there, there's a doctor who's signing off cards. Like it's like medicinal stupid because do you know how easy it is to get like Adderall or Xanax or anything you want from a doctor? You just tell them, I'm feeling anxious. Okay, we'll give you this. I can't concentrate. Here's your Adderall.
Well, that goes back
Like,
to a whole different conversation of.
but it's going to be the same thing with weed. I'm feeling anxious. I don't want to take an anxiety med, and then doctors are just going to be handing out marijuana cards. It's just medicinal marijuana is just dumb. It's just another government regulation. I personally think adults can make adult decisions. Legalize marijuana, legalize shrooms. I don't really give a shit. I think adults can make adult decisions.
I think the only thing with legalizing marijuana is once again, the social aspect of it, the way it affects everyone else around you with the smell of it, you know what I mean? There needs to be a little bit more respect, I think, when it comes to everyone else.
It was the same thing with smokers. Though.
Yeah,
so we went the same thing with smokers. I remember smoking sections in restaurants because I was a smoker, and we would go to places that had smoking sections. But I'm sitting here in the smoking section, and you're in the non-smoking section.
Well, it's like smoking on an airplane. You have smoke in the back of the airplane.
Yeah, like there was all kinds of. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
There's an ashtray in the picture of when I was born in the hospital. There's an ashtray sitting on the table.
That explains a lot, actually.
There was no one smoking. I'm just saying there was an ashtray on the table.
But it'll have to be like that. Like it would have to be like a no smoking areas, and
that's the thing. They're going to be one. That's another thing that's like impossible to enforce. You'd have to say like, oh, this is you'd have to have, let's say, I don't know. Let's say Henry Dorley Zoo. You'd have to say there's no smoking here. Well, yeah, okay, there's no smoking there, but people are still going to smoke there, right?
Well, they can get kicked out. The same way, is there smoking at Memorial Stadium?
No.
Exactly.
But people probably smoke there.
Not very. You don't see very
Not very often. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So
usually vapes.
it's not that you're going to get rid of it altogether. It's just that you're going to take 95% of it away. And if some dad lights up a cigarette at Arnold Zoo and you kick him out, guess what? He's not going to do that again because his wife has been bitching about him the entire time home that he ruined the zoo outing, and it'll be over. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
If you're at Disney, like there's just smoking at Disney.
I don't know. I've been to Disney.
I don't think
I'm sure there's not.
I doubt there's smoking at Disney.
They had like smoking areas, I think, but I don't know. You can drink at Disney now, though.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
But I doubt you can smoke at Disney, and no one's going to go. Like no one wants to get kicked out.
Not at some place you just spend $500.
No, and it could be like a lifetime ban or something like that. You know what I mean?
I'm just more talking about just in the quality of like walking around downtown and like at Vegas. It's just like, man, you can't get away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's pretty annoying for somebody who doesn't use
Vegas, I bet you is annoying.
Oh, it's
but but it annoys me when I'm walking and someone's smoking.
I was gonna say,
That's true.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you think? I mean, obviously you smell the weed, but do you think you're just so used to smelling cigarettes you don't pay attention to it anymore?
So we were just on
gross.
we were just on vacation in Alabama in Orange Beach, and the condo we were in was no smoking, and so you're not supposed to be able to smoke when you're even out on your balcony. And first thing every morning, there's some dude like two balconies down and one over smoking a cigarette, and as soon as you walk out there, you're like, who the fuck's smoking a cigarette? You're not supposed to be smoking, and it like ruins the whole experience for you because the sun's coming up, the ocean's over there, you can smell the breeze, and the wind comes from the north, and you're like, cigarettes. And yeah, that's the norm.
It's the same thing with cigarettes. And once again, you have found that there's way less cigarette smokers.
It does, yeah. I don't. They're definitely tapering off a little bit.
Because if it was legal, people would just vape their weed too. You know what I mean?
Well,
People
that
are
would
going to
be
do this.
better because I don't think you.
Yeah.
I don't know honestly. I don't know if there's a smell.
Well,
from
I think they have them. I think they
Oh, those
have
little dabs
I think
or
it's
whatever.
just oil.
but edibles, whatever. I mean,
in
I
Nebraska,
would say
it's still a felony.
the day
to
of
have
smoking weed,
oil weed.
like smoking weed is, I mean, that's like smoking a cigarette. Like you just don't see it as many people smoking it.
Let's say
They're
maybe
gonna
now it's
eat
not
it-
as bad as for you, not as bad for you because now you can just eat the THC
right?
versus.
But they're going to
smoking
eat it. I mean, I would say most people do an edible.
I mean, that's fine. I'd rather that than at least I don't have to smell it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's just like chew.
Yeah, exactly. I always thought when people chewed, I was like, thank God, at least I don't have to smell the smoke. Deal with the smoke.
So I don't know.
But there's a lot of things when you think about it that have been deemed bad
That could help a lot of people.
that could help.
Now, and like I said, maybe they need to have.
I mean, you know why marijuana is illegal, like the beginning of it.
No.
So marijuana, hemp was a cash crop, but hemp is very hard to harvest. Like cotton was hard to harvest, and they ended up with a cotton gin. Well, they ended up with a hemp gin. Well, at that point in time, they were going to make paper and all kinds of things with it. Well, a guy, and I could look his name up. He has a very odd name. He had a paper mill and a newspaper at the same time. And he was afraid that that hemp was going to ruin his paper business. So he printed an article in his paper that said Mexicans and blacks were smoking Mexican marijuana and raping white women. And that was the beginning to all of Congress making it all illegal. I think his last name was Clay. But that was the beginning of the whole thing of making it illegal, and that's when Congress banned it. Hemp and marijuana are two different plants. Hemp does not have THC in it, but they banned all of it because they can't tell the freaking difference because the plants look the damn same. So they banned it because they didn't want because he wanted this banned because he didn't want it to affect his paper. Because we don't have to cut down trees. You can make paper out of hemp. You can harvest it twice. We can grow it in Nebraska and not have to worry about growing corn and soy and China screwing us on grain prices. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with it, but it's been banned for 100 years because basically this guy got pissed. And Congress bought it because they're a bunch of mindless idiots. They always have been.
I get tired of things being bad for you than being good for you, like eggs. Everyone for the longest time was always like, eggs are horrible for you. Now it's like, oh, eggs are not horrible for you. Same thing. It seems like there's always, and then in a couple 20 years from now, they'll probably talk about how eggs are horrible for you again.
So cholesterol. Your cholesterol number has to be under 200 for you to be healthy, correct?
Allegedly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That number was 300 until 1979.
Blood pressure numbers also have changed.
Yeah. But the cholesterol number was 300 until 1979, when right prior to 1979, two sugar companies funded studies that came out to say cholesterol was bad for you and causing heart disease because they wanted to take the pressure off sugar being bad for you. And then they moved the cholesterol number from 300 to 200. Ironically, 40 to 60% of Americans are now on some kind of fucking statin because trying to keep their cholesterol under 200 when the number was 300 forever. So it's just one of those, like, once again, it's just the information. Like, cholesterol is not even an indicator whether you're going to have heart disease or not. Like, there's almost no correlation. There are some where there's zero correlation. There's no correlation. Inflammation and your ApoB and some of your other numbers, they're the correlation. Just like creatinine is an indication that your kidney function's bad. It's just it's an indicator, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. My creatinine level's high because I take creatine. By the way, if everyone starts, because people are taking creatine, and you go to your doctor and your creatinine number's high,
Tell them ahead of time.
to tell them to do a cystatin C test, and that's the actual kidney function test that will tell you whether you actually have a kidney function problem. Not this creatinine number that they don't know what the fuck it is. They don't know how to read it. Most of your primary care doctors don't know how to read it.
They just see the level comes back and they see it's in the red and they're like, oh, this isn't good. Then they go to some scale that was printed off where your number's at, and they look at it and they're like, oh, your kidney functions that you have stage 3 kidney disease.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me too.
They put that on my chart that I had stage 3 kidney disease.
Yeah, I went in for shoulder.
Without telling me.
I went in for shoulder surgery, and the lady's like, "Oh, you have stage 3 kidney disease," and I'm like, "What?"
because my creatinine level was high. So and I was like, and when I told my doctor, I said, if you're worried about my kidney function, which my creatinine level has always been high since I've been coming to you for 7 years, it's been the freaking same. High.
Mine's always been the same. I looked at all my levels before that, and there had been times you can tell when I'm like not eating a lot of protein, not taking protein shakes, which also affects your bun create level. You can see it's not in the red when I'm not using protein shakes or taking creatine, and then when I'm taking creatine, it's in the red. And then there have been times when it's been lower, higher, but it's never been a time where it's been degenerating at a steady rate. You know what I mean? Where you can look at it and say, oh, well, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse every time you come here. Sometimes it's not in the red. Sometimes it's in the red. Sometimes it's in a lot of red. Sometimes it's in a little bit of red. And sometimes it's not red. So that, to me, if you just look at that, if you're not an idiot, you're like, oh, well, obviously something else is going on here other than your kidney function's bad, right? But that's your doctor. That's your regular family doctor for you that'll do that to you.
My doctor didn't even know what a cystatin C test was. I had to tell him, and then he looked it up. He goes, "Oh, that's a good test." I was like, "No, no shit."
And then the other thing is, I think they're all trying to push pills because then they're calling me and they're saying, "Oh, you need to start taking this pill to help you." I'm not, and then the nurse tells me there's a side effect though. It could cause a chronic cough, or like, I'm not taking that. Are you crazy? There's no way. Yeah, here, I pharmaceutical companies do go see your doctors, and they do tell them like, hey, you should prescribe these pills to your patients for these reasons. They sell their product. Yes,
right.
Yeah.
And they're selling their product for a condition that is prominent. So yes, that's their job, is to sell their product. Unfortunately, the education that most doctors get just come from that, so they're not diving into everything else. Well, with that, if your education is coming from pharmaceutical companies, you're going to prescribe pharmaceuticals. I'm just saying when it comes to nicotine or THC or psychedelics, psilocybin, there's so much information out there, and I just wish that we had like non-biased information.
Well, when it comes down to it, it's basically do your own research.
But where? That's
you
the
almost
thing.
need to find someone that has whatever condition that you want researched, and they've tried those things, so you can ask them.
So I would just urge everybody, this isn't everything, whether you're looking at politics or anything else. Whenever you have an idea, find information that validates your idea, but don't get confirmation bias, right? To where you're you only listen to information that validates your idea. Go try and find things that say the bad side of it.
And we've used this phrase a million times. You're going to find a common denominator in all these where they're going to overlap somewhere. Right, someone is going to say the same thing at some point.
If you have PTSD and mushrooms can put you on a bad trip or whatever else, but it can also cure your PTSD, then how about you figure out how to dose the mushrooms and what kind of environment you need to be in to be safe to go through it and to be able to make that, there's more than, yes, there's bad stuff, but that's, once again, why I don't do illegal drugs isn't really because they're illegal. It's because I can't buy them safely. I don't know what I'm getting, and I'm not going to do that. I'd rather know what I'm getting. But also,
like you kind of said, is it really safely, or is it just influenced by somebody influenced the government to make it safe or not safe?
Well, I should say, if I go buy mushrooms, I want to know they're mushrooms. I want to know there's not anything else.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like you look at
how many drugs have been approved by the government, then they find out later that it's killing people.
Well, I mean, you go back to the whole all the dyes. We just ate Fruity Pebbles. We didn't think about all the fucking dyes and everything else in them. But the government said it was okay. Or Cheerios pays to get the fucking heart thing put on there, so everybody thinks they're good for your heart health.
Yeah. I'm just more talking about the quality. I'm okay with THC being bad for me, is what they say, as long as I know that it's just marijuana. Like Theo Vaughn said, you can't even do cocaine anymore because you might get fentanyl. You know what I mean?
He goes, well, there's no good coke in this country anymore. You used to be able to do coke and wake up the next day and be like, man, I shouldn't have done that. And now you just don't wake up.
He said that to JD Vance.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of it, like I said, read both sides, but find the common denominator across the board.
Yeah.
Or like Chris said, if that's somebody with Parkinson's and they're doing research for their own health, see what they have to say. Maybe they've found good luck. Maybe they might be like, hey, I did nicotine and it took my tremors down, or they didn't do shit for me.
Yeah, I did. And it could be different for everybody because you have.
But I wouldn't go to and I'm not saying they would be lying, but I wouldn't go to the American Parkinson's Foundation, whatever, you know what I mean? Because they're just somewhat government funded, but find individual people who are doing things. You know.
And unfortunately, and I know that we've kept almost this whole podcast without mention of AI or ChatGPT, but those, but ChatGPT or Grok or something like that,
or Matt GPT,
you could text Matt, he'll do the chat for you.
Probably right now, actually.
Yeah. But if you, it's a really good way to get. Like, ask it, what are the benefits? What are the drawbacks, right? And it'll show you studies and it'll point you, and then you can go actually find the information. It's basically just a better way to do a Google search, compiling all the information for you, and then you can go also dive in deeper. But I would definitely do, like, even if you disagree, like, even if I disagree with the negative of something, like, I don't believe it's true, you should at least know that someone says this.
Yeah. Yeah, so do your own research, but you know, if you want to start chewing some nicotine gum and see what it does, I wouldn't just go from 0 to 100 on anything.
No, I think they have like 1 milligram and 3 milligram. It's probably like the person, like if you're going to go eat an edible for the first time, don't eat a 21.
Yeah, nobody like, dude, I took that 10 mil like 5 minutes ago and I don't feel anything, so I took like another 20.
I've never done edible because they scare me. I like to know how high I am.
Yeah. So.
Have you ever been high? No. You?
Yeah.
Once?
No.
No.
No, I never had to pay for it though. See, that's what I think. If you don't do it regularly and your friends want you to do it, they'll just give it to you.
Yeah.
But I've never done anything outside of pot though.
Yeah. I have.
We know.
Professional.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys got anything else?
No.
All right. We talked about a lot of things there. Started with
kind of a
nicotine.
serious podcast. The only funny part was when Tanner did the blowjob motion. That should be the short.
We'll get that out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, do your own research.
Hashtag best summer ever. Was that Ted too? Yeah.
Find a good place to do some research. Like I said, if it's an ailment you have that somebody else has, see what they're doing. But do your own research. Find the common denominator. If you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, share, follow. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time.